Lesnar appeal.
Yeah.
But this might be the most difficult match for me to call so far, because I don't want Ronda to win. But when she's so dominant and you've seen what she can do and everything, it's kind of hard to believe that in that match she won't win. So unless maybe a DQ, I'll go with Alexa, maybe retains on a DQ.
Okay, fair enough. What was it, Vince McMahon's message? You always just say, JR, strong, sexy, powerful. Every time you say it. Maybe he told her that before she went out as well. We'll see how that goes. Let's just hope it's a good out and a good spectacle, because you know that's going to get a lot of press in that match. But we'll see how it goes. Now, Matt, to the finale, I guess, the one we had to get to. And interestingly enough, I was listening to Jim Ross's podcast, and he was very sort of apprehensive about having them on at the end. He thinks that could be a bit of a mistake. But what do you think, Matt? Will that be the last match, or New York, Matt? You know what sort of atmosphere that can bring. The fans know what's going on. I mean, let's face it, they're not a bunch of fans, especially in New York, Matt, that don't know what is going on outside of the ring. So and it doesn't matter how many times Roman Reigns keeps harping on that Brock's not here and all this sort of stuff. Listen, by the time this night comes, the fans are going to know what they know. So it doesn't really matter. But is there what I'm trying to say, Matt? Is there I guess a likelihood here that the fans could crap over this badly? I mean, we saw it at WrestleMania's main event, and I was quite surprised, because I do think, like, to be honest with you, at that WrestleMania main event, I think, like, I've gone back on that, and the match wasn't terrible. I think it was just because WWE had told fans for so long, Brock's not signing his contract, you've got Roman Reigns, and like, fans were just thinking, just get this crap over and done with. I just want to see it, but I don't want to like it, but I'll see it, and we know what's going to happen. Now, obviously, we've got the big shock that night, Matt. It was a huge shock. I mean, that was... I wouldn't say it was as shocking as The Undertaker's streak, but it was certainly second best to that, to be honest with you. And, maybe that's just what Brock's got about him at the moment, is throwing these big surprises out. But here we are again, Matt. Same situation, exactly the same. He's the champion. We're going in against Roman Reigns. It's not like this is a rematch where Roman is now champion and Brock's on his way out. This is Brock Lesnar's champion. Roman Reigns is in again here. We've had a lot of matches between these two now. Now, it seems like fans are pretty sick of this now, Matt. This is how bad it's got. WWE's done an awful job, because at one point, Matt, this was a match I was really looking forward to seeing again after the first one at WrestleMania 31. Now we're at the stage, Matt, where fans are really sick of this. We thought it was all going to be finished with, at WrestleMania. I thought, well, that's it. Roman obviously isn't the guy. Perhaps they'll give it to Seth. No, we're still going with Roman. For whatever reason, maybe WWE thought, hang on, we won't do it this night. We'll piss the fans off by having him chase Brock, because Brock's not going to turn up, and we can keep selling this thing where Brock's not going to show up and he's going UFC and all this stuff. For me, it makes no difference, Matt, because those fans that they're trying to sell that to, they know enough about it, Matt, that they're not easily fooled. Now, I know we've had the slight differences with Paul Heyman, and I think that's been a welcome thing, that part of the feud, because, and it's interesting because I know people can slate Brock and, he doesn't turn up and all the rest of it, but that's his deal. That's what he's signed to. But what's interesting is this statistic I was reading. I did a little bit of research, and that Raw that he was on, those segments were through the roof. I mean, people were watching them, and the bit where he, went for Paul Heyman right at the end, man, that was crazy. The YouTube click percentage on that is through the roof. There is a huge difference between that and the normal Raw stuff that, ratings wise, I mean, incredibly. I think it was up to like 10 million, and like the next one down to it was around 2.3 million, something like that. And that's a huge drop off right there. So, you can see why Brock Lesnar is, the golden goose here for WWE, Matt. You can see why Vince is rating this guy, because it seems like whatever he touches does seem to draw some sort of ratings in. But enough about me, Matt, on this, because I think I could be going around in circles with this. Roman Reigns, Brock Lesnar, I don't know what number we're up to now, but whatever it is, it's ridiculous. And what are we going to see now? What's next to expect? And obviously, taking into consideration Brock Lesnar's contract as it stands.
Well, who knows what's to expect these days. We thought we knew what to expect at WrestleMania, like you said, but just didn't go to plan there either. I've got to go into this with an open mind. The only regret I have about this is they haven't really booked Roman the way I was hoping they would, because he has no self-doubt. He's overconfident.
Yeah.
I would love it if they played some flashbacks of when he was lying in a pool of his own blood, questioning whether he can actually get the job done.
You're right.
He couldn't that night fairly in a one-on-one match, and he lost outright. Just to play the whole overconfidence and the arse kicker card just doesn't really cut it with me. I feel like there's no real. He doesn't come into this as an underdog acting like that, and I would like to see that kind of tale of overcoming the big. Like a David and Goliath. I mean, it's hard enough to, like you said with Ronda, it's hard enough to get someone over when they're dominant. But we all know Roman is that way. But against Brock, he's the only guy he can play the underdog to, and they're just not utilising that at all.
I think you did the nail on the head right there with that. Really, there's nothing you can feel this guy. Here's the difference. If you take John Cena now, when John Cena, I know people love him, hate him, or whatever else, but for me, John Cena's the real deal at this, because when he plays that babyface role, I remember the match where he lost against The Rock the first time round, and the promo by the next year, you had that real self-doubt about it. Can I do it? My whole year's been wrecked because of that match. And they played this great promo, and it was really executed well. But the facials, the reactions, the way John Cena was carrying himself, and we all know John Cena can be the biggest goofball when he wants to be, trust me. But when it comes to those times, Matt, against those self-doubting times, the reason John Cena has always... He's like one of those things, you see a TV show every week and you see, I don't know, you go back to the Hulk TV show, the same thing's going to happen every week. He's going to be able to overcome it by the end of the week. But how come these guys, get away with it? And how come we always want to see it? How many years, Matt, did John Cena manage to do that? Guys like Wade Barrett with Nexus, Umaga, Edge, Randy Orton, all those names over a decade that John Cena was able to get us to react to and think there's a doubt here that he can do it. We believe in him, but we're doubting it. And there's a big difference between that and what I'm seeing with Roman Reigns currently, where, like Matt said, he overconfidently playing this. This is a time now where after the WrestleMania match, he should have been like, man, I don't quite believe in myself all of a sudden. I've beat The Undertaker, I've beat John Cena, I've beat Triple H, but this is something I don't know if I can do. Instead of going that way, like Matt said, they have literally just sort of ignored that and just been like, no, Roman's going to be Roman. And you just go out there and just do your normal quotes. I mean, the only emotion I've seen is from Paul freaking Heyman. I mean, he might as well be the baby face. He might as well be facing Brock. Because I think you get more sympathy and more people backing some Heyman than you would Roman Reigns here, and that's how it is. And if Roman gets decked again, it's his own damn fault because he's overconfident. I have no sympathy for him. That's the problem. Now I know there's been lots of coded messages here, if you will, from Paul Heyman, and there was that thing about the video clip that they didn't show the last couple of seconds, and that would have been the big giveaway because he said unless blah 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 I have something to do with it, but like I said to you, Matt, I know how Paul Heyman works, and he is a little bit more cut above the rest, and he probably wouldn't let things out unless he wants them to get out to those Mark fans and dive into that area, so I've got a feeling there may be a big sort of double cross by the end of it all. But I guess there is an element of real life as usual when it comes to Brock Lesnar, Matt. We know Brock Lesnar, a month ago now, he turned up at UFC, he came in, challenged Daniel Cormier, or Daniel Cormier challenged him. We know that fight's going to be happening. The latest rumours we've heard, Matt, is he's met with Vince. He wants to do both gigs. For me, that makes the most sense for both parties. But what do you think's going to happen here, Matt? And is this the end of Brock now? We know he's booked for Raw, and then that's it. But that's how it stands currently. Now, unless they've done a deal where they've told nobody, which, by the way, they could easily have done that, because let's face it, Brock Lesnar doesn't talk to anybody, he doesn't talk to media, so you never know. He's one of the few guys that nobody knows about, and that's probably why the ratings are like they are for him, because he just doesn't come out. He doesn't even talk to TMZ or anything like that. I've only ever seen him like once being caught out, that was years back. That's it. This guy is so recluse in his own life. He's not bothered about fame in that way. He's only about the business. And something we haven't touched on that is going to probably have a lot of focus into this is, of course, the Money in the Bank situation, Matt. We got Kevin Owens, Braun Strowman. I know you've said that you feel Kevin Owens could win. I've got a lot of scenarios playing out in my head here for this, Matt, whether it be Paul Heyman introducing Kevin Owens and then kind of like screwing Owens out of it by the end of it, or Braun or something like that, or I don't know, any which way could happen. But I do have this feeling, Matt, that if Brock signs a contract, I don't think Brock really, if I'm being honest with you, Matt, I don't think Brock goes, if I sign, I've got to keep that belt. You know what I mean? I think if he signs, he's going to say, I want that money. I don't think he cares about this universal title thing as much as what, I don't think it's him putting it down on it. I think that's more WWE. But if you're Vince McMahon, Matt, best for business here, if Brock stays, Matt, is it better to have the belt on Brock, or do you just finally do what we all thought should have been done ages ago and just get what you want, get Roman as champion, and we see what happens?
Well, I think in order for everyone to get what they want, I feel like Vince has to offer Brock the contract where he can work at the UFC and the WWE, and that'll work fine. But then Vince also has to accept that Brock won't be able to, fulfill a lot of dates, because he's going to have to train. It's really hard, he's going to have to take the actual UFC training deadly serious to actually become top of that level. So with that in mind, what I would assume is best for business is to actually put the belt on a working champion. Someone that will fulfill house shows and pay-per-views and that, and actually make the belt actually out there, put it out there, giving advertising for the WWE. Get the champion out in the community and stuff even. So getting that off of him would be a priority, maybe. Maybe now, if they're going to offer that contract, why not start now? Because then it gives Brock some more free time to get his affairs in order and everything, and then just move on. But saying that, I think this Money in the Bank thing could be a big deal around that, because Roman's is their guy, and one way to get the title off Brock and not actually do too much damage maybe would be to have Roman win, but then ultimately lose it due to the Money in the Bank cash-in, because then it doesn't leave the sour taste in the fans' mouth that Roman will be walking around holding that title. Yeah,
and whoever does cash it in will be over like $1 million as well, regardless if it's Kevin Owens. Even it doesn't matter. They'll be loved after that. I tell you, there'll be "Thank you, Kevin" chant going on, I'm sure. It'll be interesting to see what happens. I mean, lots of different ways. I suppose you've got to remember as well, if the match between him and Daniel Cormier takes place, could be January. Now that's quite it's not that far away, and you think when WrestleMania's around the corner. Now let's just, for argument's sake, Matt, we don't know what's going to happen. Daniel Cormier is a tremendous two-weight champion here, nothing to be taken lightly. But let's just say the stars align that night and Brock manages to conquer the UFC again, and all of a sudden you've got a WWE contracted guy as the UFC heavyweight champion. I mean, surely you want him at WrestleMania match. Surely that is gonna bring even more eyeballs to the dance, and then you can even work it where Brock doesn't really, that side of the championship. You don't need him to be in the Rumble, and you can have that champion against